All right, so today we're going to talk about the discriminant, and you may recall from the problem you just did that a parabola can cross the x-axis either 2, 1, or 0 times. And you also may recall that the thing that controls that, the thing whether it's crossing 2, 1, or 0 times, is called the discriminant. And the discriminant is literally just b squared minus 4ac. Now, where have we seen b squared minus 4ac? Well, that occurs in the quadratic formula. That's the thing that's in the square root. It's either plus or minus the square root of something. So in most of the examples that we've done so far, we've had two x-intercepts. Count them. 1, 2. And in that case, b squared minus 4ac, the discriminant is positive. b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0. And when that's greater than 0, we have two x-intercepts. We can also call these solutions two solutions or roots. Now, if b squared minus 4ac is 0, b squared minus 4ac is equal to 0, it's actually 0, then we will have only one x-intercept, root or solution. And that's because we're taking the square root of 0 plus or minus 0 is just going to be that same number. And if b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, if it's negative, we're going to be taking the square root of a negative number. We don't know how to do that yet, so we will have no, I wrote on, no real x-intercepts. Okay, we will not have any x-intercepts, but guess what? We will have some imaginary solutions, which we will learn about later. But right now, we're just going to focus on practicing to see if the discriminant can tell us that. So we're going to look at our quadratic toolkit, and we're going to look at problem number 1, and we're going to see, is it this situation here where we have two x-intercepts, is it a one x-intercept, or is it a no x-intercept situation? So let's find out. If we look at number 1 of your toolkit on page 7, it says 6x squared plus 10x plus 5 is equal to 0. Now you could go to the trouble of solving this whole thing, or you could, using the quadratic formula, x equals negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. But if the question is just asking how many x-intercepts are there, well, then you do this. You just plug it into the discriminant, b squared minus 4ac. b is 10, so b squared is 10 squared minus 4 times 6 times 5. 10 squared is 100. 4 times 6 times 5 is 120. And so you get 100 minus 120, which is negative 20. It's negative, so there are no real solutions, no x-intercepts. Okay, if we look at the second problem, so I'll say no real solution. Okay, now, if we look at problem number 2 on our toolkit on page 7, we have the problem 8x squared minus 8x plus 2 is equal to 0. Okay, if we're going to plug in b squared minus 4ac, we'll do negative 8 squared minus 4 times 8 times 2. And remember, the question we're asking here is how many solutions are there? That's the only thing we're finding out right now. Well, negative 8 squared is positive 64 minus 4 times 8 times 2, also 64. 64 minus 64 is 0, which tells us that there is only one solution. It is real. One solution. All right, and that solution happens to have a multiplicity of 2, but we'll learn more about that next chapter. Okay, let's see if our third situation is a situation where we have 2 intercepts, because there's 3 and 3, maybe x squared minus 4x minus 7. Aren't you so tempted right now to solve this by completing the square? It's the best. But we're not going to. We are going to use the discriminant to tell us how many solutions there are. So in this case, a is 1. So b squared minus 4ac would be negative 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 7. All right, so let's make sure we do our negatives correctly. What we get here is 16 plus 28, and we don't actually even have to finish that math. A negative times a negative is a positive. That's how I got positive 28. Because I know this is positive, so I know that there will be 2 solutions. And that, my dear friends, is the discriminant. Could we have gone to the length of solving these? Yes. Could we have gone to Desmos and put these in and see, did they cross? Yes. The discriminant is just another tool in our toolkit. All right, guys, bye.